What up, what up, what up? It's your boy D back at you with another video. So, I should be giving you what's going on in WWE this week. You should be getting part 2 of that. I had to change things and move that video to Saturday because we have to talk about the documentary. This documentary is now here. I have seen every episode. So now it's time that we talk about it. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, I am talking about the Mr. McMahon documentary on the life of Vince McMahon, which was produced by Netflix. This documentary, I thought it was very good. Thought it was strong. A lot of the stuff I already knew. Some very little tidbits of stuff that I didn't know. So where I want to open it up. Unlike other creators, I'm not about to sit here and fucking act like I know everything. No. Have I been watching WWE for 20 years now? Yes. Am I a WWE lifer? Yes. Absolutely. Do I know everything that happened in the NWA, AWA, early stage years of WWE? No. I pretty much know, I know damn near a lot that went on in the Attitude Era and on. But a lot of this stuff in the 80s, I know a decent amount, but I don't know a lot of this stuff. So if anybody can fill in any of the information that I'm talking about on this, please do. I knew about the steroid trial. I knew that the steroid trial was a big reason why Vince and Hulk Hogan fell out. I remember that Hulk went to WCW, tried to put Vince out of business. And I do remember Vince taking that with a lot of just like, motherfucker, I made you. Now, with that being said, and if there's any history somebody can tell me about this, let me know. Put me on. I did not know that the early versions of Hulk Hogan started with Verne Gagne. I did not know that Verne Gagne was the real originator who started Hulkamania. I knew Hulk Hogan was a bad guy when he was in WWE first, but I didn't know that was under his dad, Vince Sr. So the fact that Verne Gagne was like the originator of Hulk Hogan was interesting. I didn't know that Hulk Hogan was coming out to Eye of the Tiger. I've always known Hulk Hogan to come out to I am a real American, fight for what's right on every land. I didn't know that. It was very interesting, some of the stories that they were telling. They had, if you haven't seen it, I'll just let you know about the different people who were there, a.k.a. Tony Atlas, Stone Cold, Pat Patterson, R.I.P. Pat Patterson, Bruce Pritchard was there, Stone Cold was there, The Rock was there, Triple H was there, Shane McMahon was there, Stephanie McMahon was there. There were a lot of great talent. Eric Bischoff, Bret Hart, Cody Rhodes was there. There were a lot of different people from all different eras who all had different relationships with Vince. So it was very interesting to see where they were going to go with this. And watching this, I feel like we got to see Vince as a very flawed human being. I will agree. There were a lot of different times that they did show Vince in a incredibly predatorial kind of way. They did kind of, which some may say he deserved that. And I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't disagree with you. But they definitely did it as like Vince is a bad human being. I'll be the first person to tell you that. Netflix definitely edited this documentary as he was a terrible human being. But with that, I will say, if you're going to run with the narrative that Vince McMahon is a terrible human being, not everything people do, not everything bad people do is bad to other people, which is fair. But then it makes me ask so many questions. For example, if we're going to get into it, we're going to get into it. The Janelle Grant lawsuit, we got to see much more history of Vince having a girl in like the 80s or the 90s say that he raped her. The referees had crew boys who were being molested in like a trafficking type of ring. That got booted out. It interests me in all these things where I'm like, there seems like a pattern of this. And one of the things that Vince says in one of the clips is that he has like a sex desire like no other. Hey, yo. That's crazy to say. And I'm like, wow, he said that in an early video that in the documentary sit down that he did in 2021 for the first interviews. I was like, oh, whoa, that's interesting. Let's see how we go from there. I like how they had the reporters who broke the news. They were interviewed. A lot of this information was really just informative for people who don't watch wrestling. And that's exactly how it felt. It felt like for us pro wrestling maniacs who watch this regularly, a lot of the shit in there we already knew. But a lot of people who don't watch wrestling, they were able to follow along in a way. Because there was a lot that they talked about. They kind of went through every era. And one of the most cool things that I liked about this documentary was I liked how they talked about the Chris Benoit, Owen Hart tragedies. Honestly, if you're asking me, they should have talked about those more. I liked how, one of the only things I liked what Bret Hart said, there's a lot of bullshit Bret Hart said. One of the only things I liked what Bret said is how he found out that, how he thought that he killed Owen Hart to get back at him. And then once the policeman was like, no, bro, this is an accident. It ain't that deep. This is an accident. Is when he actually started to forgive Vince. I found that to be really like, wow, that's really interesting. I also found really interesting the father-son dynamic between Vince and Shane and how Vince was with his father, Vince Sr. and Vince Jr. I thought that was really a really interesting and raw dynamic. It's honestly, if you're asking me, it's one of the most raw dynamics of the entire documentary. How Shane was killing himself doing all of these crazy things just to get that real true pat on the back from Vince McMahon. I thought that was really powerful, really touching. I just thought it was very interesting. And how I didn't know a lot of the things that Vince went through as a child. I didn't know he struggled as hard as he did as a child before he realized that before Vince Sr. came into his life. I love the story of how Vince has come up, of how he owned WWE, how he took it from his father, and his father really was just in his way, and then he took over, and then he just took over all the territories to get to where he's at today. Very interesting. But if we're going to talk about the scandal, we have to talk about it. Okay, so they kind of grazed on it, talked about it a lot in different ways because we don't know all the facts. The last screen you'll see, it says that Vince is under federal investigation, and losing my train of thought here, guys. What was I saying? The lawsuit is under pause from Janelle Grant. That's what I'm trying to say. The lawsuit is under pause, which was very interesting, as Vince is charged with like sex trafficking, sexual harassment, etc., etc., etc. The thing I did not like is I know they couldn't get the final interviews done, so you didn't really get to see Vince's side of it. So that everybody just wants to see it. Everybody just knows that Vince is some bad guy. But what's really interesting and kind of concerning was how the whole point of it was Vince was just like, I don't want you to know who I am. I'm going to give you some stories, but I don't know. I don't want to tell you. I can't tell you too much because I don't want you to know who the real me is. And how he flirts between that line of crazy Mr. McMahon and Vince. Now, with that being said, there were certain things I would say were blown out of proportion. I didn't like the portion they spent on a lot of the women in the documentary. And I'm talking about women's wrestling, by the way, because a lot of it is, I think Dave Meltzer shockingly said it best, was that, you know, people were talking about the bra and panty matches and then the live sex celebrations and all of that and all the other shit the ladies were doing. Those ladies were fucking talented. That's just start right there. Them ladies were fucking talented. But also, I feel like when people say that, especially from like wrestlers this era, it always bothers me when they like talk shit about that era, because they wouldn't be where they are without it right now. And then more importantly, they don't even look at the pioneers, all of the pioneers of women's wrestling. Think about how hard it was for women in those days. You look at a Wendy Richter, you look at a Fabulous Moolah, you look at a Bull Nakano. These motherfuckers are legends. They wrestled. They were dogs in the ring. They were elite. Jacqueline, Jazz, powerhouses, China, powerhouses in that ring. You don't ever hear them talk about them. But the first thing they always want to go to is the bra and panty matches. Which is kind of fucked up, in my opinion, because if you really think about it in a way, the 90s was a very sex-driven era. I feel like when you get to like the 70s and 80s, I feel like you knew people were doing it with, like, you know, rock and roll, blah, blah, blah. Rock and roll, the 70s more just grooves, 60s and 70s are very just groovy and just the music is flowing and everybody's dancing and having fun. It was all about, quote unquote, making love. They didn't do it in a very sleazy way. The 90s said, fuck that. We're talking about ass and titties and pussy. And wrestling at that time was male dominated. And because it was male dominated, what did men want to see? Men wanted to see girls they knew that who they couldn't get with. They wanted to see that. They wanted to see girls who they couldn't get with, and they wanted to see some titties. And Vince fed that audience because honestly, people don't like it, but it's true. That's what the 90s were. 90s was raw. The 90s were raw as hell. That's just what it was at that time. So, like, to me, I've always just seen that, like maybe people just think it's just the WWE. No, motherfucker, it was the world. It was the world. You think I'm lying? I'm a big music person. There is no way in hell Snoop Dogg could drop Doggy Style in 2024. If Snoop Dogg got on a song in 2024, and the first words that come out of his mouth was, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on the tip while you're sucking that. Everywhere where I go, I see the same hoes. It ain't fun if the homies can't have none. Bro, if any of those songs came out in 2024, Snoop Dogg would be under so much scrutiny, so much attack. But the era we lived, that era in the 90s was just different. It is what it is. So I didn't like that portrayal of that era too much in this documentary. I just thought they were just, you know, wasting their time. Bret Hart. Oh my God. Like the entire Screwjob episode made me really want to go, Bret, let it go. Okay? You really need to let it go. You talk so much shit about the Screwjob. Life is over. It's over. It's all over. You can just let it go. Move on. Move forward. It ain't that deep. But Bret has to go on and on and on. And, you know, if you're being honest, Bret's full of shit, okay? Because Bret talks all this shit about the WWE and then shows up on Monday Night Raw. Like, yo, bro, you can't win. Yo, bro, which one is it? Pick one. You just, you know, whenever, like, Bret just complains. And I don't agree with Hulk Hogan on much. But even when Hulk Hogan's like, you know, listen, Bret's just going to complain just to complain. He's just going to talk. I understand where they're coming from. Because Brett always just got some negative shit to say. It's like, yo, Brett, yo, what's going on, dog? You alright? Brett, you cool? And as an in-ring, Brett's one of the greatest of all time. Period. One of the greatest of all time. But a lot of times, it just feels like Brett talks just to put himself over and just drag down everything. To where the Montreal screw job was so fucking long ago. It's like, bro, it's really time to let it go. And maybe talk about the Montreal screw job and the one positive. It changed the industry. I don't know if WWE is as popular as it is without the Montreal screw job. And that's genuinely a fact. So a lot of this shit is just interesting to me, you know? It's just so interesting. All right, so speaking on this scandal, a lot of times on this Vince McMahon scandal, I just think I need to see more information. Because the information in this was very one-sided, because there's only one side to tell, because Vince McMahon chose not to tell his side. Which is perfectly fine. I get it. Vince debunked the rumors, retired, came back, retired again. I understand it. I understand the timing of it. But it just makes me ask so many fucking questions. If this is about money, what this really is, he stopped paying her. If all this hush money he was paying her, you know, it came out because he stopped paying her the money. Okay, cool, understandable. I get that. All right, fine. But if he was doing all this shit to you, all of this horrible things that no human should have to go through, you went to fucking work every day with this shit? Like, I don't understand. Like, for me, I'm just like, it's not the fact that I don't understand. It's because I understand people have bills to pay. That I understand it. But to me, it's like, I lose my empathy feeling of like, wow, like, to me, it's kind of just, after a while, it's just like, well, I mean, shit. You had to move on. You have your own life now. You're getting paid this money, and now you're going for more money that you rightfully deserve. I am not against them going for their money, but am I supposed to not watch WWE because of the shit you're going through? Fuck no. Absolutely fucking not. Please. I'm still gonna watch wrestling. No matter what. There's no matter the damn thing nobody gonna say is gonna make me just stop casually watching wrestling. Fuck out of here. It just makes me just ask some questions where it's like, I don't like, and this is just for me, this is just my opinion on it. Like, what Vince and them are going through with this lawsuit, if Vince did this shit, absolutely, it's indespicable. It's just disgusting. I saw the text messages. They were so fucking wild. They were out of left field. It was disgusting. I just want to see the court case. Like that's all I want. Like, I just want to see the court case. And with the court case, if they find something on him, put him in jail or something like that, okay, I want to see that. 100%. But what happens is if he wins? There's a lot of cases where people thought they had Vince McMahon clearly in this video. Once again, what happens if Vince wins? Does he become back a part of WWE again? Does he weasel his way in? What does Vince do if he wins? I have those questions. Or is his name tarnished more than that? Is his name tarnished forever in the wrestling business, so where it won't be revered? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't never say that, like, oh, it's her fault. Oh, she wanted this. She brought it to the attention. Da-da-da-da. No, we're not doing that. I am not on one of those weird people type of timings. Absolutely not. That's disgusting. Go somewhere. Get a life with that. But what I'm asking is simply just, I'm not making any judgments until we see more information. Like, to me, it's like, if it's just more of you've been wrongfully not given your money for the shit you went through, get your money. Absolutely. But am I supposed to be like this, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to you, blah, 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 blah? No. And the people must take this as offense, but I mean it in this way. I don't fucking know Vince McMahon. So why the fuck would I feel this type of way? Why would I don't know these people, bro. That's the thing about Vince McMahon, Diddy, R. Kelly, any of these Harvey Weinstein, any of these weirdos, the dude from That's So 70 Show, any of these weird ass people who are doing all this freaky shit, I don't know these motherfuckers. Why would I care? Why do I care this deeply about some shit that didn't happen to me? And more importantly, some shit I don't even got all the answers to yet. Why am I going to go jumping off the deep end? No. Are you kidding me? No. It's just, and then it's the argument online where you see, oh, do they erase Vince McMahon's legacy? You literally cannot erase Vince McMahon's legacy no matter how you stretch it. He's the creator of WWE. We're not watching wrestling today. We don't love wrestling without Vince McMahon. It's a fucking fact. Sorry. We don't love wrestling without Vince McMahon. I will go stand here right now and tell you we are probably not watching wrestling in 2024 ever without Vince McMahon. Period. It's just the way it is. That's just what it is in this life. That's really just what it is. And I think this documentary did one job of that, is we can hate the acts that Vince McMahon did to Janelle Grant, to a lot of other different talents, men and female, whether it's just like, some sexual shit, talent he screwed over, did them dirty, fired them. We can hate Vince for all of that. Mr. McMahon is one of the greatest WWE characters of all time. It is not even close. We are not here watching wrestling. You're not watching this video right now without Mr. McMahon. It's just facts. Two things can both be true. And in my opinion, those are what I found in this documentary. Two things can be true. And it's okay for two things to be true. Do we have all the answers? No. Do we have to wait for more answers? Yes. Were there any other things that we didn't know that's like, oh, this is it, he did it? No. No, there wasn't. And it's very interesting to see where they go from here. And I know people are going to ask, like, oh, like, for example, Bad Blood is next week. If there's a press conference next week for Bad Blood, which they should have the press conference next week, because if they don't, it looks sketchy as hell. The first question all these stupid-ass reporters are going to ask, not about none of the matches, no matter how fire they could be, they're all going to ask if they've seen the Vince McMahon documentary and what are their thoughts. They already asked Sasha Banks. Why did they ask Sasha Banks? I don't know. It was random as hell. I'm like, what the fuck asking Sasha Banks for? But it's one of those things where they're just going to keep asking the same talent. Did you watch the documentary? How'd you feel? Any thoughts on the documentary? When some of the talent have no fucking business, to where it's like, they didn't fucking work with no damn Vince. Like, I'm just going to pick a very random person. It'll be Unholy Union, because I love me some Isla Dawn. Hey, how you doing, girl? It'll be like Unholy Union, right? But Unholy Union say they just won the tag team titles again. Unholy Union, they'll be like, hi, I'm Steve from blah 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 wrestling company, and I want to know your thoughts on the Vince McMahon thing. But what the fuck did I know about Vince McMahon? They didn't work with no damn Vince. That has been the time with Vince. What are we talking about? You see what I'm saying now? Like, or they'll ask Jade. Jade wasn't in the company when Vince McMahon Jade wasn't even in the company with Vince when she signed with WWE. What are we talking about? You see what I'm saying, though? And like, it'd be stupid shit like that. And I feel like now we're about to listen to a lot of people who just have random opinions are going to be opinions, but there's a lot of people who like to make their opinions facts. No, the fuck they're not. And my whole point of this whole documentary is where watch it for yourself and get your own opinion on it. But just know your opinion is not facts. I know my opinion is not facts. And that's okay. I really don't give a fuck if people don't like my opinion. All right, that's cool. Honestly, I hope you don't. You'll get more views on this video. I promise. You promise you. The negativity always gets more views than the positivity in this day and age. And that's just the life we live. But I think with this documentary, The best thing for WWE to do too is to acknowledge that it exists and then keep fucking moving forward. You're not going to spend all this time on it and allocate all these resources to it. No, fuck that. No. Raw comes to Netflix in a few months. Am I going to watch Raw on Netflix? You goddamn right I am. Is WWE probably going to have a bigger audience? You goddamn right it is. My whole point for this documentary was, I was interested in seeing it, just, for little tidbits, and I love WWE documentaries, but my whole point was just like, does this change anything? No. That's it. That's it. As a WWE fan, especially if you've grown up in my era, you know that there was a lot of dumb shit Vince did, WWE did, they tried to try it out. Vince said the N-word, insane behavior. Triple H's racist promo against Booker T, insane behavior. Triple H with the Katie Vick fucking a dead woman, insane behavior. Gene Snitsky with the foot thing, insane behavior. Vince saying nigga on live television, insane behavior. There are a lot of different things that are just crazy to say. But we're past that now. And you take it for what it is. He was trying to see what shit would stick at the wall and what didn't. Am I going to judge all those situations and just formulate some weird opinion that he's a weirdo? No. Do I think Vince had probably taken advantage of some of these women and shit? Yeah. Yes. But once again, is that going to make me stop? Does that make me alter how I watch wrestling? Or does that make me look at Vince McMahon differently? No. Why? Because I don't fucking know Vince McMahon. I don't know Vince McMahon. I have no relationship with Vince McMahon. No. Like, why? I don't have this personal attachment to these people to where, like, oh my God, I can't believe you would do